Meanwhile, over on this front, it looks like the Ukraine has now got 4 units of infantry guarding that entire border with Russia. Russia also starting to mass out the troops. We're now into September 1940, so we're crawling ever closer to 41. Meanwhile, CoPro has just been allowed to build up and build up and build up and build up, and I wonder if the Entente's going to regret that. And there we go. Entente declared war on India. Called it. So the Entente is going to want India. Let's take a look at India and see how India's defences are looking. They have a lot of troops up here. 24 divisions guarding this one position. Not sure they quite need that many here. Possibly because they're planning to push back. I don't know. They do have quite a few here on the Persian border. And then also the Burmese border. They've got troops on their ports as well. Well aware of the fact that they're up against some of the most major naval forces in the game. But most importantly, Australasia is also in this. So we've got Japanese units being spotted out here in Insulindia. We do have quite a few units in the north of Australasia just in case of a naval invasion. But now Australasia and I would say both India probably looking on a little bit nervously. Do the teams divide their players onto fronts, or how does it usually work? I mean, different players will, or different teams will have different ways of doing it. Some will do it by front, some will do it by geographical location, some will do it by responsibilities. For example, there's almost always what's called an air controller, who is the guy who controls the air force. So for the Reichspakt, for example, we know that's Sweden. So if we switch over to Sweden's perspective, we can see that he's the one controlling the planes. So every country, well, every faction generally has an air controller. So Sweden for the Reichspakt, Japan for the Co-Prosperity Sphere. I don't actually know who does it for Entente. I don't think it's Australasia. I doubt it's the US. It's almost certainly not India. Oh, it's probably Canada. Easy way to find out is to see where their planes are. It's Canada. But if I was the Entente, I would definitely do this on, like, geographical. So if Australasia needed forces, then I, as the USA, would probably give expeditionary forces to Australia and say, have fun. India, probably responsible for all the stuff around here. Again, you can expeditionary forces between different players, so that different players can control different stuff. And the originating country pays for them. Anyway, we are seeing some pretty hefty Russian infantry wave forces trying to attack from through Pakistan, Afghanistan. We also have an assault here into northern India, Bengal region, trying to cut off between India and Burma. Naval battles off the Philippines, naval battles out here in the ocean. Now we can take a look at the navies, in fact. I want to see if Japan is doing anything at sea. So Japan has got lots and lots of submarines currently engaged. Massively overextended. Not sure about that positioning. And they have a couple of ships out here probably trying to catch some... They're out of range though. They can't actually reach this, so these ships aren't going to do much. They can catch these 3 sea zones, and that's it. They're not actually covering these zones at all. And then they have their strike fleet currently positioned off the coast of India, preparing for these naval invasions, which have now been activated. So there is a big attack going into Calcutta right now, supported by the Japanese Navy. Going into that. Then we also have Indian forces attacking into Siam, but Siam does seem like they are capably resisting that. We have got Australasian submarines going after Filipino transports, probably with invasion forces or reinforcements. I want to take a quick look. Is Australasia doing much of their navy? Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, this is another way not to organise your fleet. How the hell is he controlling this? I think the simple answer is he isn't. And why would you put it all under one admiral? You can't specialise. So he has at least separated out different task forces for different jobs, and he is giving them different missions, which you can see with these 3 buttons being coloured. but that's not great organization. What were the other naval powers? USA. What is the US doing at sea? That's a very small navy. That seems like a whole lot of nothing. Oh no, the US is moving their ships. They also have a couple of reserves. And then the other big naval power here would be Canada, with the mighty Entente Navy. They have what looks to be recon off the coast of India. They've got submarines currently docked up in... Oh no, that's not submarines. They have a massive strike fleet without commander, but it actually looks like they're reorganizing that right now. So it looks like some of the Entente nations are getting their act together. It's... Whoa, dear. Research, sorry. Looking that over. Meanwhile, India. How's Kolkata doing? We have a landing in Setaway, but we can see that they have taken a humongous amount of damage in the landing, probably because their transports were sunk, probably by these Australasian submarines, which would rather suggest that the Co-Prosperity Sphere should be sending out ships on a little thing I like to call escort duty. It's a thing which I seem to not ever see, ever. And it results in lots and lots of dead convoys, as we are seeing right here, right now. And they're still not doing it. So all of these naval invasion units are basically dead already because of a lack of protection. So that was a really, really bad naval invasion. That was a certainty to take Calcutta. Calcutta was not adequately defended. But submarines, well done Australasia, sank them. And... right now, I suspect that the Entente's going to start riding roughshod over naval efforts. Siam and both Japan have shown that they have a high reliance on naval forces. Because the Japanese Navy is out in force. Low on organisation, so if the Entente caught them right now, that would be a very one-sided engagement, because your organisation is directly correlated to the strength of your ships in fighting. If they're on 40% organisation, they fight with 40% of their effectiveness. 40% of their combat strength is then used. So if ships are moving a long distance and they're out of organisation, they're going to struggle. And were they out of fuel as well? Okay. I mean, Japan's also the air controller, so Japan's fuel usage is going to be through the roof. It's going to be really rough. But so far, it looks like India's doing a decent enough job protecting themselves. Even though there is actually a Chinese breakthrough here. Next door to the 24-strong unit. I think that he probably just doesn't realise that he's got 24 troops just sitting right next door. But the fight in Afghanistan, the fight next to Persia and Pakistan, I think those are doing just fine. The Siamese borders, fine. Borders here against China, fine. It's just this one breakthrough. But as soon as he realizes, oh, I have 24 divisions right there, and assigns them to this line instead, easily covered. India's got enough troops on the field right now to protect all of this. They are probably getting lend-leases from country like America. In fact, they would be very silly if they weren't. They're not getting lend-lease from America. That's a mistake. Who's America lend-leasing? Anybody? Because they should be. United States is supported by a lend-lease from France. Okay. I guess. 321 divisions for India? Where are they? 322, actually. Yeah, India has a lot of divisions. They're probably quite small and probably not hugely well equipped. You can usually tell the size of a division by when it gets attacked, how quickly its strength goes down. If it goes down very slowly, it's a big combat width. If it goes down very quickly, it's a small combat width. For you as viewers. Meanwhile, we have another naval invasion here in Sitwe. Once again, the Siamese coming in with their completely chewed up units. We actually have the Indian Navy sitting right outside in case reinforcements decide to try and slip through, which would not be particularly wise. India, meanwhile, recognizing the naval threat that their opponents are posing is starting to garrison the entire coastline, which can be an effective counter. I mean, if they can't land at all, you're not going to get attacked. Relatively easy to punch through in those locations, but you can then at least get the resistance, and most importantly, you get the warning and the delay. So I think that Sitwe is probably going to get taken out by those Indian forces. We do have Siam charging through Burma. I don't think that India's really trying to defend Burma. In fact, he's withdrawing completely. Moving back to the Bengali Ganges. Is that Ganges? Don't know if that's Ganges. Bengal's River. But there is this massive punch through here. He's still got 24 divisions. Just sitting here. Just sitting. Right next door. Use them, please. Spot this. I mean, I get it. India's on so many fronts right now. And I think that this is actually one of the biggest problems of the balance for Kaiserreich in the current format. Is the fact that CoPro completely surrounds India. And India's left there on its own. It really requires, like, the entirety of the Entente sending all of their armies to India to resist this. Because India's effectively fighting all of the CoPro at the same time. Or at least send them enough guns so that they can do that. Although if you send them a lot of guns, then they have to use convoys. So that is also a problem. I mean, India has 855 convoys. They are going to be able to receive some pretty hefty reinforcements in terms of equipment. Why aren't they sending guns? That's a good question. What is America doing? That's also a good question. Like, America doesn't have that many... In fact, America has basically no divisions. 100. They had more during the Civil War. America is marching overland in Africa. They're on their way to India. I think they must still be in the process of deploying them. It looks like the Entente was kind of caught unprepared for this. And there are still 25 divisions sitting right here. And I think somebody's noticing that, saying, "Look at this! Please." Meanwhile, we have got Russian heavy tanks moving in to try and cut off, because obviously India's enemies has recognized this. India's actually withdrawing completely. No, don't abandon Persia! No, don't do this. Oh, that's such a bad idea. Oh, that's a panic reaction right there. India's seen this breakthrough, and instead of using that massive stack of 24 to try and pin the breakthrough in place, he's abandoning one of the most defensible locations in the game. That's a mistake, and this is all open. It's not even that defensible. The only thing you've got in your way is a river, and you will never take this back again. Oh, that's a terrible decision. I'm sorry, but what's it guarding against? I mean, these guys are still behind you. And all of these units getting pinned by the tanks. Like, CoPro is doing this well. They've seen the point of weakness and are exploiting it. Meanwhile, we have got naval interceptions, submarines going after the Japanese transports. Japanese transports being punished for the fact that they don't know how to defend anything. That is Republican French ships. We have an Entente Frenchman attacking into Insul India. Not meeting with a huge amount of success, though. But I think we found the Americans. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we found the Americans. Clearly putting more an emphasis on protecting Australasia rather than India. And India's just abandoning the bulk of their front lines because they feel like they have to. And I disagree with that call hugely. This is definitely India just panicking right now. And that's a mistake. In this kind of situation, stay calm. I mean, I understand. I'm seeing this from an outsider. I'm kind of calling this as someone watching and not actually having to manage all these different fronts and all the things going on at once and teammates talking in my ears and which is probably how India feels right now. But yeah, mistakes. Mistakes are being made. Is stream sniping a big problem when it comes to Hearts of Iron 4? Is it just not that kind of game? It's a huge problem. It's an absolutely enormous problem, which is why I usually run with a stream delay. But Kaiserreich asked me not to, so we're not. Oh, Kaiserreich Weekly, rather. Baluchistan and Afghanistan are great defences. They are. Like, India's making an enormous mistake doing this. They're losing all of their entrenchment. They're pulling all of their troops back. They're losing all of the mountains of Pakistan and Afghanistan. They're losing the mountains here in the north, in Nepal and the Himalayas. I mean, they're cut through. What you need here is stall them for as long as possible, because supply coming through here is going to be awful. It's going to be really bad. And just wait for some American heavy tanks to come in and just plug the gap. But this was a gut reaction, and it's going to cost them. Meanwhile, over here in Germany, just because I feel like I shouldn't be ignoring this, because we have still got the incredibly brave French heavy tanks trying to punch through in areas where they have clearly not been able to punch through the previous 13 times that they have tried. I think that those French heavy tanks would probably be better off moved to a different front and try there. Like maybe the Middle East. Maybe the Po Basin. Hell, maybe even North Africa. But attacking over and over and over again into Belgium, where Germany knows that they need to put defences, and is proven to already be really heavily fortified, not exactly the wisest. Meanwhile, we have got a huge French invasion. Let's go and switch over to the French Republic, because they are the ones doing the work here, I believe. Yes, they are. We have got a French invasion of Insul India. They have secured quite a bit of territory back here. They have got a port. They're controlling the straits, and in fact are about to take it off of the Japanese. I would like to take a look at their navy to see if they are supporting efforts over here. They are. Mostly on naval invasion support, which is okay. I would probably have started with naval invasion support and then switched it to escort duty. Probably splitting out the capital ships and commanding them separately. But this is acceptable. This is okay. I like that they're actually using their navy to support their operations. They've got recon out so they can spot enemy fleets. They have a fleet on... yeah, that is convoy raid. I do kind of wish these icons were a bit more different. The fact that they both have the target site is what throws me. But these are on convoy raiding, going after the Capo Verde plain. I don't know if they're actually catching much. I don't think so. But I like that they're supporting over here, and also judging by all of these pop-ups, there are a lot of Japanese ships that are being caught because the Co-Pro is just not guarding their shipping whatsoever. And in fact, if we head over to Japan again and take a look at their ship setup, nope, they've still not discovered the escort duty button. Like, Japan does not need their entire fleet in one doom stack like this. If you're fighting, like, directly for your home islands against an American invasion, maybe. But right now, keeping sources of supply and sources of trade open is more important. Split out some of your destroyers. It's okay to do that. Can I show you the faction map mode? I can. There you go. India looking a little bit surrounded. I think that Australasia is pretty secure because Co-Pro's navy skills leave a lot to be desired. And it looks like the Entente's actually putting more of an emphasis on navy. But the attacks on India are going to be the problem. It looks like the Indians have stopped their withdrawal. They've given up a bunch of territory. Obviously one of the players has gone, no! Oh no, they're still withdrawing. Never mind. If I was on India's side, I would be going, no! But it looks like they're going to try and plug some of the gaps here. I mean, fine, I guess. But you've basically just given up all of this territory, and Afghanistan is known as the graveyard of civilizations for a reason. It is not fun to fight through that, and you could definitely fight a pretty long, drawn-out defense of that. Yes, Chinese forces here are in Delhi, but they're also going to have big supply issues. Because the supply here is not great, and it's got to come through the Himalayas. It's also a very much a salient, and you could cut it off. Just cut through here. It's plains, it's hills. Easy territory. The same way that you're losing territory here, it's also as easy to retake. Yeah, it'll be difficult to plug the gap again, but at least you've got this as kind of a defensive zone. You could build forts if you absolutely have to. Is there any fighting on the Co-Pro border in Iraq? So far, no. The French seem to have that in hand. I'm actually quite impressed with how France is doing. France has done good. And they're using the right units for this. Cavalry and motorized. Like, cavalry and motorized in deserts. Beautiful. Especially if they have armoured car support. Or armoured cars instead of tanks. Because armoured cars get bonuses in desert. Can't believe he gave up the whole of Burma as well. Again, it's for a river in the plains. That's a pain to fight over, but I would say the mountains are worse. It depends what you're fighting against. Rivers against armor, brilliant. Mountains against infantry. Time for the voting thing. I think so. So we have now had a pretty good idea of what all the different players are doing. We've seen some of the different strategies and skills and tactics employed by the different players. So I'm just going to switch over to the player map mode so we can take a look. I'm going to do this by country just because it's going to be easier to stick in people's mind, like what countries have done what as opposed to player names, because Necron Slave 1, 2 and 3 not exactly going to be conducive to a memorable action. But which players have done something cool? Which players should we vote as the stream favourites? Who are we impressed with? So throw in some country names into chat, people that you've been impressed with so far. I will do a vague idea of the top 5, and then we'll do a proper vote on it with proper numbers. So USA for USA for smashing the CSA. Come on, guys, let's be serious. Country's actually in the game, not Ulm. Unless, of course, by Ulm you mean Germany, in which case that's an acceptable answer. Austria, Germany, National France. Austria. USA lost me with the current lack of action. Yeah, they've been underwhelming. I mean, USA is playing very defensive. And we have seen that the USA is currently active down here. Austria, Germany. I liked the German tank encirclement. Denmark. Not a player. USA, Austria, USA. Okay, so I'm seeing so far Austria, National France, Germany, USA, Entente France, USA, China for the early unification, that's true, Bulgaria, Australasia. Seeing a lot of USAs and a lot of Austrias, so I'm just going to add those two right now. Keep them coming though, keep them coming. Stream favourite player. We got Austria, we got USA. Republican France doing good. Yeah, I would agree. Rep France. USA is invading India. Oh, not invading, bolstering. So USA has finally arrived in India in some significant forces. These are the troops that we saw earlier marching across the Middle East. So USA shouldn't be here. They should be here. Hello.
Strongly advise you to look over at Belgium.
Okay. So Belgium. Stuff is happening in Belgium. Again! The French tanks have been encircled. We've got the Austrian heavies here in the centre. We've got the French caught up in Ghent, currently being surrounded and annihilated by massed German forces. We do have some French tanks, once again trying to lift the siege in Bruges. But I don't think they're going to get through before these offensives are successful. This French heavy unit is looking incredibly weak. In fact, that's an old French tank. That's a very old French tank. That's one of the 1936s. However, these ones are the more modern. And there we go. That is the first set destroyed. That's going to be an extra province that is going to be on their side. We've got the Austrian tanks counterattacking. Oh, was that an Austrian tank I saw, not a French one? That's what it was. Sorry, Austria. And then we've got the attack going on into Westerschelde from the forces in Ghent and in Antwerp to destroy the other two French heavy tanks caught out there. And we do have a couple of tentative offensives elsewhere, but it doesn't look like these French heavies are going to be able to punch through in time, although they are doing a fair amount of damage, and I do think that perhaps they want to resist this. Oh no, there we go, the heavy tanks have given up. There is only one heavy tank left here now. They have not got any ports, they cannot escape through the ports. That is going to be a pretty bad situation for the French. Was it Siam or Japan that invaded Indonesia? That was Siam. Can we vote for France for repeatedly slamming their head into the wall of Germany and repeatedly going back for more? I don't know if that's necessarily a stream favourite. I mean, if you appreciate tenacity and boneheaded stubbornness, then sure. How does the France-German air game look now? That's a good question. Green air, Germany. I'm guessing most of the air is going to be... Where the hell is Third International's air gone? Grounded. So it looks like the Reichspakt has seized control of the skies. Siam then, okay. Yeah, I'm going to put Siam in. I've liked how Siam have played. And Bulgaria, I think, is going to be the 5th choice. Fuel problems, yeah, makes sense.
Hey, Mordred.
Hello.
Just to confirm for us, when you were looking against, did you see 4 French tanks encircled or just 2?
Just 2.
Alright, thank you.